Hi Cancer, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to Ethernal Realms. Let's get into your April reading. First, a little bit about April, just some major themes here. We have the first solar eclipse taking place on the 20th of the month, and this is taking place at the very last degree of Aries, a fellow cardinal sign, so you're definitely going to feel this one. But as soon as the eclipse hits after 8 minutes, the moon moves into Taurus and the sun soon follows, and we have the first day of Taurus season. So it's kind of at the brink of the zodiac season shifting. So it's a time of transition, and we will have carryover effects from your 10th house to the 11th house of career, to friendship, or your goals and your aspirations. You've already been experiencing eclipses in the 11th house, again, if we're going by the rising sign. But basically, those themes are still going to be a part, but it's not going to play out in the way that you experienced it last year. But I will talk a lot more about the eclipse, and we'll do a special reading for you guys, zodiac specific, around the time of the eclipse. I will be posting those videos. If you're interested, subscribe and hit the bell and you will be notified. Okay, now the second major thing happening is Mercury is going retrograde this month, the first retrograde in 2023. And it will take place in Taurus, which is once again your 11th house. So you could be reconsidering some hopes and goals you have. Perhaps you're shifting your priorities in some way for the far future. There can also be some conversations you have with some friend of yours, and you're kind of paying a little bit extra attention to that specific friend. I don't know why I'm getting that specific message. I kind of feel that intuitively for some of you. But apart from that, it can also... Mercury retrogrades are basically a time of miscommunication, okay? So the reason why you're going over certain topics could be a result of miscommunications. We'll see your cards and kind of see what comes up here. But yeah, just in case, just be watchful of the effect you have. You are a sensitive sign, so I'm sure you are very watchful, and you can quickly observe when someone's behavior changes, or if they're uncomfortable with something. You just have an intuitive knowledge about that. So I'm not really worried about anything, just something to keep in mind, right? Okay, so those were the top two major highlights. And by the way, during retrogrades with Mercury, we don't buy very expensive things. We don't make permanent changes. It's mostly a time of, let's say, experimentation, like seeing something, how you could make it work and so on. That's one way to use it. But mostly it's useful for like revisions and reprioritizing, the re-words basically, okay? Revisiting, reconnecting, things like that. Can come up here. So perhaps it's a good idea to communicate with like old connections you've had but you've kind of lost touch with. I know I generally do that regardless of which house my Mercury is going retrograde in. I usually connect with like really old friends who I kind of talk to after like a couple of months, but we have like a great time during those retrograde periods. So that could be one of those things for you guys. Okay, so Mercury is moving into Taurus on the 3rd of the month itself. It moves from Aries into Taurus, so it's a lot more practical, and it wants to lay down certain structures. In Aries, it's more like flighty. Our mind has many ideas, it has many thoughts, we have many things going on and so on. But with Taurus, we want to just take it easy. We want to understand what we're comfortable with, what's practical, what's sustainable for the longer run. So we're making solid plans. That's the point of Mercury in Taurus here. There's another aspect happening on this day, but I'm not going to get into it. I will post about it on my community page. So once again, if you're interested, you can subscribe and you can see the community for yourself. Now, on the 6th of the month, we have a full moon taking place in Libra, which is in your 4th house of home and family. Once again, it's a cardinal sign, so you're absolutely going to feel this one. There can be more reconnecting and, communication that you have going on with your family. Perhaps someone in your family is communicating with you with their issues, and you're there to sort it out for them, or you're there to be supportive through the whole situation. I'm not really sure if it is like I'm not getting so much of an upheaval. It's just like you're just talking to them. You don't really need a reason to talk with family. But yes, and also apart from home and family, it can talk about your inner self. There can be some clarity, realizations that you get around this time about your goals, about your aspirations. That is just very illuminating. And full moons are usually kind of a checkpoint because something comes to culmination. We see some results, and then we can kind of decide if this is something we want. Perhaps there's something we need to tweak about it, and then we make the necessary adjustments. And yeah, the next time we have a new moon or we have a full moon in the same zodiac, that again shows the results of what we have tried during this time, the promises that we make around this time, the commitments and so on. Are we upholding them? How are they working out? Do we need to have that commitment anymore? Perhaps, it's like a sub goal that we need to take care of before we move on to the next stage, things like that. Same day we have Mercury conjoining with North Node, which just puts our mind on hyper focus and concentration mode. So you can really make certain lasting changes around this time, especially if you're making some promises to yourself or your friends. There can also be a push, a nudge towards meeting new different types of people and expanding your network as well. You're still a little bit reserved sign, and so is Taurus here. So you will only connect with someone, where you feel right with it, right? Otherwise, you're really protective over your private space. So this one is fully in alignment with that. I feel this particular day where you can make lasting connections only if it feels right to you. Otherwise, you can just make your priorities very clear about who you're letting into your life and who not. Okay, now the 11th of the month, we have Venus moving into Gemini, and over here she's more interested in community work and connecting with people around, not really going very far off. It's not so much the internet apart from like your page or your followers and things like that. It's a little bit more close-knit. So Venus is interested in intellectual conversations here, perhaps discussions of ideas and communicating with people that are kind of in need, or like you might be the teacher, you might be the student, something of that sort where there is something to offer, Venus is also the planet of love, art, beauty, and harmony. So the blissful feelings that we can cultivate comes from mental exertion, not really exertion, exercise. Okay, or having like a really good conversation with someone, that's like really fun around this time. And if you're looking for partnerships, then flowing with this kind of vibe might help you attract someone here. We again have a couple more aspects going on this day, also further in this week, and I will post all about that in my community page of how much you are being impacted, how it is impacting you, and what date it is as well. So you can understand it and make the most of it, or you can lay low depending on what it is that you're seeking to do around that time. Okay, so all the aspects are complete. Now I want to see your tarot. So for Cancerians, we have Moon Peak with Dream as the major theme of the month. First major highlight is July. This is your season over here. It talks about summer vibes, summertime as well. We have Dark Woman as the second major highlight. Dealings or relationship with a woman with dark complexion or hair. This can be talking about you, or it can be someone else. See which it might be, but again, we'll get some more cards, get some more details on that if it comes out. Then we have Chair Filled. Someone new is entering your life. You see, there's like a new connection, and perhaps that is a Dark Woman card describing there. And I kind of see from this side profile, it feels as though she's smiling, and this here is about luck and fortune and also protection in the background. I'm not really sure what it's called. Looks like a lantern, but it kind of looks like a fortune coin as well to me. So yeah, there can be someone influential coming in here. 11th house usually has some influential people in your network as well, and you're kind of excited to build new connections basically. Some of you, it can be playing out in July, and this can be a result of the eclipse vibes, which plays out for like 4 to 6 months in the future. But you can already start seeing the desire build up. You might be, seeking to make new friends or new connections, or you're just broadening your horizons here. Perhaps you're making some future plans here for July, and you get some necessary people or information that comes through. With the dream here as the theme, it seems like you have an imaginative mind around this time. You also have great intuition here. So with dream, it's like a dreamy aspiration, like you're just looking to that future and you're like, yes, I can just almost feel it. I can almost sense that it is right here, that it is real, Okay, then we have thankfulness for understanding. Okay, very nice. And we have, for some reason I'm hearing gratitude with that one, like I'm thankful. And then we have victory and conquest. That is so Aries. So the full moon that we have on the 6th, obviously it's a time of the sun opposite the moon. While the moon is in Libra, the sun is in Aries. So definitely we have some of that going on in the beginning of the month. And then at the end of the month, we have the eclipse in Aries. So that's quite strong here. So your career life, you could be achieving something, you could be advancing to some place. Perhaps you're upgrading yourself to a whole new version of you, where it feels as though you are entering, so you are the someone new that is entering your life, If I feel a revitalizing. The summer is like, fertile, it's full, it's active, it's dynamic, there's just so much going on over there. So I think in April, there's like a lot of things starting to gather steam, and you feel like very grateful for everything you've gone through, the highs and the lows, and you kind of understand where you're coming from. You understand what has gone on in March, February, or even before, and you kind of forgive the past. You are like, okay, I learned what I needed to learn, and now I'm just going to let go of that, because honestly you're a water sign, and it's really important as to what you hold in your emotional space. That's why you have the power of protecting yourself as well. You have the power of discernment of what you're taking with you and what you're leaving behind, because if you harbor toxicities, whether that is in the form of affection for someone or even like negative feelings, negative thoughts, then that's what is continuously being cultivated. And with water signs, it's much easier to manifest into your everyday reality the result of your feelings and intuition. So I think you're practicing some sort of forgive and forget and let go type of situation. And by that, it doesn't mean that you're going to let everybody into your life again, even if they're not so good for you. Not really that. It's just for you to not have that feeling or thought anymore, because you're moving towards so much victory, so much glory. And I think other people around you as well are very thankful to have you in their lives and your guidance as well, if you're in a position to provide that. Wow. Okay, so we have the Hanged Man coming through first. Then we have the Ten of Swords. Yeah, moving away from stagnancy is like the very first message here. Then we have the Six of Pentacles, moving into a lot more harmony, a lot more flow. And we have the Page of Swords. See, it's no wonder it was feeling a little bit busy. The Page of Swords is like, I'm learning something, I'm talking to like 5 people, I have 3 ideas I need to work on, I have to be somewhere, I have an appointment there, I also want to take care of myself. It's like a whole bunch of things that is going on with the Page of Swords, and still somehow, she's doing it in this image. She's like, yep, I'm carrying all these ideas, I'm holding a book, I'm walking on a tightrope seemingly, right? Over a cliff, well, whatever, as if you casually just walk over a cliff or something. So it can be that you have many connections who are trying to gather your attention here. And I guess in like March or February at some point it might have felt a little bit isolated, or perhaps things were not gathering steam and things were not moving forward, and there could have been thoughts of, what am I doing wrong? Am I missing something? It could have been a phase of reflection as well with the Hanged Man, but that situation forced you to dig deep and gather that faith from within you, and to recognize for yourself that you are doing everything fine. Just keep doing that. And while you still might have that little bit of a doubt in the backdrop, that doubt is now being eradicated in this particular month. We also have the Knight of Cups, which is absolutely wonderful. This indicates, I'm hearing compliments. You might be getting some compliments. It can be from strangers, but also like just generally people being very charming and inviting and welcoming of you here. For people who are looking for a romantic connection, Knight of Cups is like absolutely top notch. Perhaps you were on a break, you were on a pause and kind of not dating anybody for some time, but now it looks like there is a connection that is bonding and deepening. It's just a lot of fun to communicate with someone. You're like, if you have been struggling with, moving on from someone in the past, and or even the traumas of the past, this indicates that this is the month where you're like done and done. Okay, that's what it looks like. Ten of Swords is like, yep, that was not fun. I don't want to go back and do that again. So I'm done with that. Let's move on to this new pattern, this new dynamic that is coming through, because it holds so much promise. Now, the Six of Pentacles can also indicate you have more money coming in, or you're making more money, as in a business sense, or you have some bonuses coming through, some gifts and blessings could come in here, which just kind of fills your life with more value. And you're being, one thing, I think people don't talk about this, or they don't give pages enough credit. They say that they just take on a lot and they just keep taking, but like, imagine realistically, you can't really keep on taking a lot more than you can even believe you can handle, right? So it's kind of like, at some point the page is absolutely learning to make a distinction. She's not carrying infinite ideas, she's carrying 4. Yes, of course it can still be narrowed down, but there is still a level of distinction of what thoughts are being entertained, what connections you're talking to, what types of relationships are you building with, because pages, actually the swords suit is all about the sharpening of the sword, and by sharpening we mean we're polishing things, where we don't allow for numbness. What's the point of trying to beat something with a blunt sword? There's literally no point here. So the reason why there are like so many conversations or so many topics going through your mind is because you're trying to figure out something that makes the most sense, that hits home. You feel it in your heart. That's what you're looking for, and it looks like with the Knight of Cups you're finding that. Once again, if you're having like a conversation with someone in a romantic or even in a friendly sense, you're asking many questions, you're wondering many things, you have many other follow-up questions, because you want to get to know this person very, I'm not going to say in a rushed way, but very quickly. You're excited about this situation, and the conversation is so easy flowing that you can talk about like various different topics. It's just so easy that it makes the most sense. It hits home. Okay. Wow. All right. What else can we talk about here? In the beginning of the month, I think you're like, if you have not gone through this process of moving on and things like that in the previous months, then this can be talking about the very beginning bit of April. After the 3rd of the month, I think the mind is really going to start thinking about decluttering. Because Taurus is like, I'm going to keep only what's essential, only what I find comfortable around me. I don't want any noise. I don't want any distractions, and no, thank you. Bye-bye. So at that being in your 11th house, I think you're really learning to distinguish what is truly your goal and ambition for yourself, and what is something which is an expectation from someone else, or comes from wrong reasons into your mindset, as in it's not very authentic to you. So yeah, you might let go of such things. Six of Pentacles can talk about investments and investors as well, depending on which side of the equation you might be. So in that way as well, money coming in. I'm looking at the infinity, so I think whatever it is you're doing here, it's gathering steam, and that momentum is just building on and on. Page of Swords with the Knight of Cups can indicate some amazing course you might find if you're studying or you want to be taking up a new section. And you are learning so much, you're getting a lot of value out of it. And that might be the way that you're taking yourself out of stagnancy. Maybe you're looking for like a new start or a new chapter in your life. 10 of Swords really is like, I need something fresh. I need something new now. I'm done with the old. I'm not really sure what's up next, but I'm going to just keep going ahead and, be filled with hope, basically. So if you're taking on a course, it could be getting completed in July, or you have some sort of checkpoint, some exam around that time, and you're very confident and optimistic about what's to come. This can be related with speaking, but it can also be creative skills, which you're very naturally talented in. You're very driven around this time, definitely with the victory and conquest. You're mastering your abilities, or at least that's the quest, that's the point here that you're trying to achieve. You might find someone who's a very good teacher, who's very compassionate and empathetic as well. That could be the Dark Woman with the Knight of Cups. Very well spoken, but also kind of casual, so you don't feel too formal, you don't feel afraid to ask any questions and so on. By the way, this description applies regardless of a romantic platonic situation. Now, the thankfulness for understanding again makes me think that you're grateful for an opportunity, a gift or a blessing, or even a connection or a conversation you have with someone kind of fills you up with hope for the future. It can be that someone that you know is telling you exactly what you need to hear for you to be able to move on from the past. I'm getting that is more your closest friends. Wow, okay, so let's see some more. Some astro dice for Cancerians, please, for the month of April. We have Taurus, Uranus, and the 8th house. Yeah, see, there is absolutely some breakthrough in something that has been a stagnant situation in your mindset. So a past memory that was so traumatic that you just can't get rid of it, no matter what technique you have or what, it just doesn't seem to leave. And that goes for like the forgiveness situation too. Like however much you try, however much you are compassionate and so on, you just somehow just not able to let go of certain situations or certain memories. So Uranus comes in here and shakes things up. Uranus is in Taurus, by the way, at this time. So it's kind of shaking up your mindset, and it is trying to bring in a new type of perspective on yourself, and also a much deeper, more intimate relationship with yourself. This can talk about sensuality as well. Taurus in the 8th, so you might meet someone here who's like very exciting, but at the same time they're not like rushing, you're not rushing. It's all very it looks very wonderful, honestly, but how you meet them might be under surprising circumstances, or again in a conversation of ideas. You might be doing something together, like in a team or so, and you just hit it off. In a financial sense as well, the 8th house talks about shared money, so taxes, investments, and other benefits you might be asking from the government and things like that. There is a good chance that is being granted for you too. I want to see one more time for Cancerians, please. We have Virgo, the 9th house, and Saturn. Wow. All right, so 9th house talks about connecting with people from different backgrounds, but it's also higher education. It might be expanding your awareness, getting in touch with your belief systems, shifting conditioning if it makes sense for you, depending on where you are, what you're doing, and so on. Now, Saturn is about taking things seriously, and all that kind of goes really well with Virgo there, who's also very sincere about commitments and promises. So anything you want to actually do is very likely to be successful here. Saturn in the 9th can talk about some visa procedures or other documentation and legal proceedings too, where you've spent some time or resources, or you might be like trying to make something official here. That is showing that you might have to go through a little bit of a slow journey, because it's really not only dependent on you, but as long as you do your part, it is very likely to get granted. So apply that to your situation as it does. It also together talks about being serious about your health. Perhaps you're learning something about physiology, and you might be uncovering different techniques to take better care of yourself and the people around you as well. You might be someone who's very well versed in these topics and you want to be teaching. So perhaps you're learning how to teach, for example. That's also a very nice meta way to look at this. Wow. Okay, so yes, that's what I have for you, Cancerians. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope the reading resonated and that it helps you out. More importantly, let me know your thoughts. And like I said, stick around for your zodiac specific reading for the eclipse. Subscribe and hit the bell. You will be notified for that. And also you will get the access for my community page where you get astro details. So if you're interested, I will be very happy to have you here. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.